Trump administration defends plan to close the border, telling Democrats, "We told you so." Video by ABC News. West Palm Beach, Florida. Mick Mulvaney, the acting White House Chief of Staff, defended President Trump's threat to end assistance to 3 Central American countries and to close parts of the United States border with Mexico next week, saying on Sunday that it would take something dramatic to prevent Mr. Trump from carrying out that plan. Why are we talking about closing the border? Mr. Mulvaney's new acting White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney tells it would take something. The president has threatened to close off the border and to cut off aid to Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador, known as the Northern Triangle, several times before and has not followed through. But this week, emboldened by what his aides said is a growing bipartisan recognition of the problem at the border, Mr. Trump ratcheted up his language. "I am not playing games," he told reporters during a weekend in Florida, which followed a week spent berating the Democratic Party for what he called lax immigration laws, assailing countries he has accused of doing little to stop the flow of migrant traveling north, and disparaging individual travelers seeking asylum as part of a big fat con job. In the interview, Mr. Mulvaney criticized Jeh Johnson, who led the Department of Homeland Security under President Barack Obama, for saying in an interview last week that the situation at the border was truly in a crisis. "Last month, we hate to say we told you so," Mr. Mulvaney said. "We need border security. In recent weeks, Border Patrol facilities along the southwestern border have been strained to a breaking point by the numbers are growing. A full or partial sealing of the border would effectively close off the United States from one of its largest trading partners, and it could leave American citizens who cross back and forth with a sluggish or potentially non-existent system of returning to the United States." Mr. Trump will. Kirstjen Nielsen, the Homeland Security Secretary, said in a statement on Friday that she had asked volunteers to add more support at the border, and suggested that American citizens may encounter difficulty getting through as a result. And by directing the State Department to revoke aid from the 3 Northern Triangle countries, Mr. Trump is seeking to punish those countries for what he says is a failure to stop migrant caravans from making their way north. Leaders of those countries have said they are committed to solving the problem, despite what Mr. Trump has said. In 2017, American aid to Central America is not charity, but an investment in our national security, Liz Schraler, the president of the coalition, said in a statement. The idea of in an interview with Jake Tapper on CNN's State of the Union, who pointed out to him that experts within the president's own administration have said aid money has helped curb violence and migration from El Salvador, Mr. Mulvaney shrugged off the data from career staffers and said the money had not done enough. "If we're going to give these countries hundreds of millions of dollars, we would like them to do more," he said. "If it's working." Mr. Mulvaney's comments represent a rightward shift for an administration that has already taken a publicly hard-line stance on immigration. In May 2000, "If we can improve the conditions, the lot of life of Hondurans, Guatemalans, Central Americans," Mr. Kelly, then speaking in his capacity as Homeland Security Secretary, "we can do an awful lot to protect the southwest border."
Raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.